Fred Kagonye, KTN News.
That story is definitely one of the stories that we're keeping an eye on KTN News. So let's talk about what's trending online. Asha Fox is here for us. Asha, good morning. Of course, Flottus is one of the things that are being talked about. Talk to us about that.
Yes, so Jill Biden will be in Kenya later today. She's coming in the evening. And there's lots of banter around this on social media. Of course, she'll be coming in. And yesterday, the First Lady had mentioned that, she'll be having a meeting with the First Lady here in Kenya as well. And usually when such high profile, rather prominent people come into the country, we've seen a lot of, there's always traffic, there's always road closures and stuff like that that affect the life of, for lack of a better word, let me say, kawaida mwananchi. And I think this is one of the times when guys are appreciating, things like the expressway have come in and probably will be able to move on with our lives. Things like, the airports, some terminals have been closed to enable ease of movement for her during this period. Of course, guys are wondering why the long period of closure. Can they just close it for the period when she'll be coming in? So that's one thing that guys are maybe not too happy about because it affects them in one way or another. But of course, definitely, there's we're waiting to see what will happen. What will she say? What does she have for us? Of course, she's coming in banking off of the economic the African Leaders Summit that they had last year in December. That was with the different heads of states from Africa that was had with, President Joe Biden. And now she's coming into Kenya. She's launched the Joyful Women's Empowerment Program. And those are some of the things that she'll be coming into Kenya to, look at. Of course, she'll be here until Sunday. And I think it's just an itinerary that we're waiting to see what will happen over the weekend. But it looks like it's going to be a very packed weekend, for her during this period. And it's a win for women, for her to be here. We want to see what she'll have for us and these different empowerment programs that are going to be, launched, because that's the main theme of her visit here anyway.
Okay, let's wait and see what that particular visit has in store. But let's now move on to matters entertainment. And of course, I wouldn't be doing myself justice if I don't mention Rihanna. I'm such a fan. Or is it SC? That's what people say nowadays. Well, all she's doing is working. After the Super Bowl performance, now she's going to perform Lift Me Up in the Oscars. That's something that is going to be interesting, something we should look forward to, isn't it?
Yes, and remember, this is Rihanna has been off the scene for about 7 years before, that Super Bowl performance. And you saw her interview feature that she did with the Vogue. And that also brought on a lot of conversation, her relationship with ASAP, her pregnancy, how is she going to, perform during the Oscars. Of course, her Super Bowl performance was record-breaking, and Aseli is here, I can probably weigh in on that as well. And of course, some guys have talked about, just how with her pregnancy, there are those who don't appreciate the performance, there are those who feel like, she did a better job back then. But I think we should give grace to Rihanna. Number one, she broke the record when she did the Super Bowl. That was the most viewed Super Bowl event ever. She did this while pregnant, heavily I might add. And then what else? Let's give her grace. She's pregnant and she's done all this. Rihanna is Superwoman.
I feel like that's a big excuse. It's just like if guys were allowed to have something that would hold them down when their women are pregnant. Give an example. If a guy would have a big head when their wife is pregnant, then maybe that would be also something really crazy to celebrate. But Rihanna being pregnant, I don't think that should be an excuse for anything. But it's super crazy how Rihanna is such a record breaker. That is one thing that you must give to her. She's also very bankable. She's one of the most bankable persons that you can ever get when it comes to entertainment. When you talk about Super Bowl, it's the halftime performance that people often go for, and it's actually one of the highest ranking Sundays or weeks in the United States of America. So when it comes to the dollar bill, Rihanna is the lady. As she says, better have my money. I can't say the B word. Let's say billionaire. Better have my money, something like that. But of course, speaking of the Oscars, she's going to be performing, but also a major announcement is that Jimmy Kimmel, one of the most coveted late night hosts, is going to be the main man of that evening. And of course, some of the trailers that have been going online have been really amazing. It's the 95th edition of the Oscars, so I'm super excited for that. If you don't know what the Oscars are, it's an American award show that celebrates film and documentaries and short forms of film across the world. So we're super excited for that. And of course, Will Smith has already made comments about the slap, and people are looking forward to maybe something else that's not the slap for the 95th Oscars. So that's super exciting. But also what's exciting is, this one is not exciting, but adding 20 more years to someone's life sentence, super crazy for R. Kelly. Asha Fox, I don't know what you have to say about R. Kelly. He's already in prison for 30 years, and then they've added another 20 years. It seems that this guy, the storm is not over.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, but Asha, you wanted to jump on that?
Yes, I did. I wanted to weigh in. Of course, what Aseli is talking about is R. Kelly has been sentenced to 20 years in prison. Of course, while in prison, serving a 30-year, sentence already. He's been given another 20 years in prison for, of course, child sex crimes and racketeering and
trafficking.
Yes, there's also sex trafficking that he's done. There's a lot of crimes rather, and this came to light, just when there was an expose some years back, showing all these things that R. Kelly had done. I do not feel bad for R. Kelly. Let me just say that, and I think this is one way where we can say justice is, sort of being served. The voices of these women are being heard. And we see a lot of this happening with celebrities where, they've been given a sentence, it's lessened. Mara, they're going to get, they get special treatment sort of when all this is happening. So I think this is one thing I am happy about. Again, Aseli, I will mention, for women, this is a good thing for us, that R. Kelly is getting this, and we're happy.
But there is parity. There is parity right here, because we have Weinstein, who's been doing the same thing as R. Kelly, but because he's a Hollywood executive and he's the other color that's not black, then it brings about a whole lot of heat on R. Kelly. So who's there to protect R. Kelly? Nobody, because he's just a black musician. But Weinstein is a billionaire, for that matter, an executive. So when I hear people saying, oh, R. Kelly, that's good for him, it's right for the women. Yes, it's right for the women. Justice has been served. But why is it that justice is halfway? Why is it that Nitra don't touch? It doesn't touch some people. So I'm just quite exhilarated by that. I actually don't think...
Yeah. A win is a win.
Okay, a win on that
when
side,
it comes to sex crimes and whatever, we will say a win is a win.
Yes.
Even if it's not yet hitting Einstein the way it should, if it's hitting R. Kelly, we will take that win. For the guys who've been, for all victims of sex crimes and trafficking and all these things that R. Kelly did, we will take that win from that end as we try to figure out, this other guy. And
yeah, it's true. But I'm just saying that, why is it that when R. Kelly was doing Step in the Name of Love, they did not step towards the justice side? It's just double standards. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this. One racial card is being played. Yeah. One attack on the black man in America, as always. It's not safe to be black anywhere in the world. So I have to say that, I have to make that comment, because if I was to move to the United States of America, then it means that justice would be served differently for me. So that's super crazy. In other news, I think I should tell you that Diamond Platnumz has been rocking the airwaves, and not only the airwaves. On YouTube, he's the most watched East African. Speaking of which, he's actually the most watched African, full stop. And he's currently chilling with Chris Brown in the United States of America. I don't know why people just usually jump on and start talking about the baby mamas. Well, on the list, he's actually breaking the records. And most recently, we've heard about the breakup with renowned Tanzanian artist Zuchu. If you don't know who Diamond is, he's the most celebrated, yes, and most despised artist on social media. But then he does a great job on that. Just last week, we had a list of who's the most streamed artist in Kenya. We had Ilagosa wa Ilagosa, and he was at 996,000 plus. We had Bill Nas from Tanzania, who was the most watched with 975,000. Keith Daniel also is one of the most streamed artists on YouTube in East Africa. We had Aslay, who's also on the list. Otile Brown, Otile Brown. Otile Brown. And Mario, the list goes on. On that list, we have Willie Paul, we have Prince Noah, and J Melody, and Ashake, all the way from Nigeria. So I believe that the streaming platforms have really changed how we consume music. It's something that we need to always check on, or even look at most times when it comes to the entertainment scene. So yeah, East Africa is doing great, because we are seeing the million mark being touched. And of course, most recently, as done on my show, we talked about how this artist by the name Boutros Munene has hit 1 billion views, over 1 billion views on TikTok with the song Angie, Angie, Angie. So if you're Angela, maybe it's because it's a,
Angie's
song
a
about
buddies.
you.
Please don't continue.
Angie's a buddies.
Ashley.
But Aseli, let me mention, now that you're talking about East Africa, BN is also, listed in the UK Billboard charts, which I think is a win for... I'm talking about wins these days, yeah? I'm just taking wins and wins and wins.
It's true. You can check out their collabo. Era Star and Biene May Barasa dropped a song on Friday last week, so that is super exciting for anyone who's trying to communicate East African music to the rest of the world. Yeah, speaking of which, have you seen what happened last week during the NBAs? We saw Rema perform. Super crazy. We also saw Thames perform and Burna Boy during the halftime of the NBA Finals. They had a set for Afrobeat, meaning Afrobeat is also winning big. And that's why I usually tell people in Africa, instead of us fighting, oh, that is Nigerian music, that is not Kenyan music, we always need to come back and say, you know what, it's a win for Africa. Yes. Because Amapiano is also coming. We also have Gengeton that we shot dead right here at home. Even before it crossed the borders, you're like, hey, Gengeton, come here, let's have a conversation. Shut it down. But we need to always promote Kenyan music, East African music, and if we can get an African sound that can be our most prized sound across the world, then I think that should happen. I don't know, Asha Fox, what are you listening to right now?
Okay, Lomax.
Okay, Lomax.
Yeah.
That's why you're talking about him the other day. Okay, Lomax has a new EP out, and I hope I'm going to get a chance to actually host him right here. You can also check out these boys called Watenda Willy. They do a great job. Also, Brandy Maina has a new track out. You can go check it out. And if you're a movie lover, there are 2 movies that I need you to go check out. One is dropping in May, and one has already dropped. Creed 3, that features Michael B. Jordan, is something that you need to go check out. That's the first time Sylvester Stallone is actually not taking a major role. He's only producing. And of course, Fast X is going to be out in May. So you need to also go check out that amazing film.
You know, when you talk about Michael B. Jordan, you don't need to say more.
Nimekuona.
Like that's enough.
No, I know you. I know you and Michael B. Jordan.
Aseli acha kuchoma.
Oh my God.
Leo Ashley amefurahi. Rihanna, Michael B. Jordan.
Like that's it. All right, guys, we need to wind up. But before we do, just 1 minute. How can we not talk about Man United?
Yes,
sorry,
Kiburi.
why are we talking about
Kiburi FC did their thing yesterday.
Why are we talking about that team?
Kiburi FC did their thing yesterday. They beat Barcelona 2-1 in the Europa League yesterday. And of course, just away from Man United, in 1 minute, there's also a big game coming up over the weekend. On Saturday at 6 p.m., Leicester City will be playing Arsenal. Remember, Arsenal is at the top of the EPL table.
Say that again.
Arsenal is at the top of the EPL table. And, if they beat Leicester, this is a chance for them to extend their lead and, for lack of a better word, run away from these other guys, Man City and Man U, who are trying to creep into their
others
lead.
Who are trying to infiltrate the top of the table.
So yeah, those are some of the big games to look forward to. Or rather, just that one, because today we have Fulham and Wolves, but I've never really had. Those are not teams that Kenyans really, lean towards. I don't know any Fulham fans. I don't know all Wolves fans.
I have a friend who's a fan of reading, and I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Reading United, yeah.
Yeah. So we that's why we tend to talk more about the teams that Kenyans like. Yes, Arsenal and Man United. So Kiburi FC, Mjibambe, drop the memes
but
everything.
We have to say, I'm an Arsenal fan, but I have to say that we need to get used to Ten Hag football. Yeah. Because those are the hugs we're going to get.
Actually,
number 3 sahi, but Man City is most likely, they're really waiting for May. I don't know why they're waiting for May. But may it be for them, or may it not be. Because Arsenal is going to stay on top.
Actually, I'm begging you to end this. And I'm an Arsenal fan.
We need to end it. Thank you guys for that. Brian, Aseli, Asha Fox, thank you so much for your contribution. Of course, I'm Ashley Mazuri. I'll see you at the top of the hour.